Yeah, when Rene called me, he said, I want something light-hearted to start the conference off with. So I thought, I have just the presentation for you. We're all gonna die. And for me, this started a few years ago when I entered a bookstore. You remember bookstores? A little bookstore in Germany where they had this little book called 20 Ways the World Can End. And I was intrigued, and I leafed through the book, and I didn't buy it because we have the internet, so who cares? But I want to share some of the ways the world can end with you before we go on to cyber, just to put things in perspective, right? So, of course, the first thing we have, let's get that out of the way, is climate change. The polar caps are melting, the ice, level of ice the sea levels are increasing. And I mean, if you're living in Austria, that's probably fine, but I come from the Netherlands, and this is going to be an issue for us. Now, it might be weird, but because of this climate change, we could also have a completely opposite reaction and go back to what's called a snowball Earth, where the Earth freezes over, and I can tell you that would not be good for civilization. What else do we have? Oh, the big impact. 65 million years ago might have wiped out the dinosaurs. These huge impacts happen about every 100 million years, plus or minus 35 million, so who knows? This is a good one, the gamma ray burst. Very unlikely to happen, but if a neutron star explodes, there is this tiny beam of gamma ray burst, and if it hits the atmosphere is gone in a few seconds, and that's not good for people who breathe. But I think it's probably not coming from space, it's probably coming from Earth. We have dormant supervolcanoes. Naples has one, Yellowstone Park has one, and if they explode, they might wipe out civilization as well. What else do we have? Oh, the Earth magnetic field changes position every 100,000 years, and it's overdue. And if it does change position, yeah, all internet will not work, and please wear sunscreen, because that's not going to be good for you. What else do we have? Apparently, at some periods in our history, fungi took over the whole planet and grew over the whole planet. And this could happen again. No, but for real, if you look at the world leaders, the world is a less stable place, because apparently leaders now are more prone to war. But this is not a big thing. This is a big thing. The sea is getting more acidic, and above a certain level, life can no longer live in the sea. And with the dead sea, I'm not sure if we will survive. And then I got a flu yesterday, and I realized that pandemics like the 1918 Spanish flu haven't happened for a while. The Spanish flu killed 5% of all people. Right now we have planes and we move all the way from Washington, for example, here. So if somebody has an infection, it spreads over the world really fast and might wipe us out as well. Then we are working on biotech. We could have a disaster before we know it, because the only way we really test this is we go back in 50 years and see if it worked or not. Finally, the ecosystem seems to be dying. And if the bees die, they say we have about 3-4 more years left and we die. But the one I like most is this one. We seem to get less fertile, man. So we might might not go out with a boom, but very soft and gender. But after reading through this book, I realized there was not a single mention of Cybergeddon. And if I look at these people over here, these evil geniuses, I'm sure we can come up with 4 or 5 ways the world can end because of cyber, right? So that was what I'm going to do today. We're going to handle the 4 horsemen of the cyber collapse. 4 ways the world can end because of cyber. And after those 4 ways, I'm going to, because you will see they are interacting, after those 4 ways, I'm going to put them all together and we get to the 5th way. And the 5th way is my prediction of the end of the world, and it will include zombies. I see they're a bit dark, but that's the end of the world. It's going to be a bit dark as well. So let's get started. You might think zombies are slow and they will never. Anybody seen a zombie movie? In this crowd, I guess, more than average. Yep. But they're slow, right? If you look at the screen, they don't go fast and they don't think very well. So the regular zombies, my granddad could outrun them. In fact, this is last summer. He was sleeping in the garden. There was a zombie attack. Sometimes happens, and he had to run for his life. And as you can see, he's fine. He just made the house. We gave him a whiskey, and Grandpa's in great condition. So I'm not talking about those zombies. Those zombies are stupid. We're going to talk about cyber zombies. Good. Let's go to the first reason that the world will die of cyber. And the first reason is people. Stupid, stupid people. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, he's going to talk about the end users again, because the end users will never learn. In fact, I do think the end users learn. Although, more than 70% of all attacks nowadays, even state sponsors attacks, are very simple attacks. They don't use the advanced attack. They just go for the end users. People in films seem to think, oh yeah, we need to attack and we need to make it technical. But in real life, if you're a Russian or a Chinese, you just buy somebody and get the data out of there. So 70% of the attacks are at people, and that is because people never learn. This is a movie. This is the first picture from a movable camera in the 1920s. Guess what they did first? They made a selfie. Our software doesn't change that much. But I am going to talk about other people. People who are more devious than that. People who think that, for example, putting a backdoor in encryption is a good plan, so now they can sneak on us. And this is something that countries have been doing for centuries. And they still want to do it. The problem is the internet gets inherently less safe if you do that. Short-term gain, long-term loss. You might know these, the TSA keys at your suitcase, and only you can open them and the guy at the border. And nobody else has the key, right? Wrong. Because as soon as somebody posted pictures of these keys on the internet, guess what happened? People went out there, took the picture, they had a 3D printer, and they made a copy of the key. So now everybody can get in. And the same happens with encryption. You start with the FBI because the FBI really needs it, and then the NSA thinks, oh, that's interesting, and other countries think, oh, that's interesting, I found the back door as well, and then the criminals find the back door, and the internet is less safe. So that is more of a problem than the end users, I think. But there is a bigger problem with people, and that is the fact that for some reason, with every new technology, we find ways to weaponize it. And that is going to happen here as well. So countries are attacking countries now. And that is a problem. What's happening is, with every new technology, we first think that, oh, this is going to bring peace to the world. And then people find a way to show the dark side of the technology. And that's happening here as well. And if we don't stop that, and the Tallinn Agreement is a start, we get the same situation as in the First World War, where people were using mustard gas, and then the wind would change, and they noticed that they didn't really control their weapons, and more people died than they thought. And that could happen with cyber as well. Should I just wait a little bit before the next slide? Or just continue? So that's the people. More important. Inequality. There is a basic inequality in cyber, and you know it. It's breaking is easier than making. And you score more points with attacking than with defending. So basically, this is them, and they've got us by the nuts. And why is that? 5 reasons. First, leverage. If I'm a starting cybercriminal, I just buy a package, I just go online and try out my stuff, and I will catch people. I don't need any knowledge, because I have cybercrime as a service, I have malware as a service, I'll just hire it. There's no, oh, you're making the 10 sign already. Oh, oh good. So leverage is the first one. The second is complexity. Programs are immensely complex, and all complex systems have bugs. And you will never be able to get the bugs out. So as long as we're using software, there will be bugs. Bugs will be found and will be exploited. And we are not going to change it. Sometimes it takes 25 years to find them, but we will find them. At some point, people will find them and exploit them. And of course, this is not, I don't really care about this because we have this and we have our own bugs as well. And people are exploiting them every day. It's called advertisement. A fourth reason, time to market. As I say, you're a small company. You have something new. You have a new cyber solution. You want to go to the market before anybody else does, before IBM, before Microsoft, before all the others. So what you do is you work fast, you work day, you work night, and you bring it on the market because you need to be first, otherwise you're dead. So what happens is, yeah, you think security, yeah, that's going to take extra time, so I'll add it later. Yeah, and that doesn't work, of course. But this is an economic incentive that people have that we are not going to change. They need to be first on the market or they will be dead. That's real for them. And adding cybersecurity later is real for us. And I don't see a way out of that yet. And then finally, number 5 is the not my problem issue. There are people who have problems with cybersecurity. There are other people who could easily fix it, but they are not affected. They might even make money out of it. And as long as this situation continues, these people are not going to solve the problems of the other people. So that's the leverage. That's the inequality we have. And the inequality is going to stay no matter how cyber is going to arrange. But I want you to move to the third one. I did put a ... there. Any ideas what the third one is going to be? What are we going to die of? Well, let me do the introduction. We have basically 2 worlds. First, we have the world of IT, the world you know. I call it the monkey world, because everything needs to go fast, everything needs to be shiny, and as soon as a piece of software works, we throw it away and buy the next one. That's the monkey world. That's fast. But on the other hand, we have the OT world, operational technology, machines. I call that the elephant world. Things need to be sturdy. Things need to work. So what you do is you install it, and it needs to work for 30 years. So it might be Windows XP or even older, but it doesn't matter because it's not connected to the internet, right? And you don't install anything, no updates, no antivirus, because it needs to work. Uptime is very important. And these 2 worlds were worlds apart, but no longer. They have married. And the problem with OT is, it was not connected to the internet. But say you have this oil platform and there's something wrong, and now you have to fly in an IT specialist with a helicopter to the oil platform, and it's going to be very expensive. And by the way, it's kind of windy, so not a good idea. So you think, you know what? I have a simple solution. Let's connect the stuff to the internet. Never heard of Showdown. Let's connect, and then he can do it from the comfort of his own home. And this is what's happening in OT. This example I really love, the Kamuri water plant. A few years ago, it was hacked. What did they have? They have an AS400, and I don't know if you remember the AS400. These are very good computers. They're very, very reliable. And they had it for quite a while, and they liked it so much that they decided, well, you know, I'm not just going to put my OT on it, the water plant, but I'm going to put the IT on it as well. Why separate them? Who cares? So the customer database, the billing, the financials, everything was on that machine. And because they wanted to be client-centric, because that's what you want to be nowadays, they decided to have a web server running Joomla connected to this machine. It was a separate machine, but they didn't update the Joomla, so it was, well, basically broken. And then because they had to get on this machine, they had to store the password on this web server. And they had one more problem. And that last problem was, this was their system administrator. There was just one person left in the whole company who could work with the AS400. Recipe for disaster. So what happened? Somebody hacked into the Joomla server, got into the other server, downloaded and stole the whole database of clients and put chemicals in the weapons, chemicals in the water. And this is the standard example of how it's not supposed to be, but this is also the standard example of what I see in current day operational technology. But it's getting worse, Because the world of IT and OT, they found each other. They married, and they've got a love child. And we call it IoT. And it's so cute, but so dangerous. And we love it to pieces, but in the meantime, it's completely dangerous. Everything is going to be smart nowadays, right? We're moving towards a smart society. It's the buzzword of the day. So now we all have smartwatches, we have smart meters in our house, we live in a smart house, we're connected to the smart grid, we live in smart cities, and we drive... we need to fix that, I think. The problem with all these smart IoT devices is, let me give you a short one-picture overview of the security model of the Internet of Things. There we have it. This is the security model of the Internet of Things. It's easily breakable. So now, because of your smart devices, they know where you are, they can break into your home from wherever they are, they can break the grid, they can gridlock the city, and these smart cars will prepare to bring them in every month for Patch Tuesday. And not just your car, your refrigerator and everything as well. So we're moving to a different world where IoT is very dangerous. Now the question is why? Why is the security model of IoT so bad when we have years of experience in regular IT? And I'm not going to talk about how, because there are so many reasons how IoT is insecure. I want to talk about the why. And I think the why is mainly the specifications. These things need to be cheap, otherwise you don't put them in your Nike shoes. They need to be small, they need to be embedded, so you can't upgrade them. They need to be very energy efficient, and finally, they need to be fast. Now, in those 5 specifications, tell me where, for example, you put encryption. There is no space. The specifications are wrong. And if it's not just the specifications, it's also still the mindset. Startups bring out new stuff. Let's have a washing machine with IoT, and who cares in 2 years if we don't upgrade it anymore? The mindset is wrong. The mindset needs to change. And because those two things together, IoT is going to be the next disaster. But you already know that, right? Moving on, AI. We're going to talk about artificial intelligence.
Dave, I'm afraid I can't do that.
Remember? This is not what I'm scared of. This is called strong artificial intelligence. And strong artificial intelligence, we've been dabbling in strong artificial intelligence for a while, and we didn't get anywhere. So now what we're doing is we're working on weak artificial intelligence. And weak artificial intelligence, of course, is a program that is very good in a very specific area. So what do we have now? If you remember 25 years ago, and there's supposed to be sound under this video. 25 years ago, Kasparov, world champion of chess, was beaten. Softly, please. Was beaten. 2 years ago, Lee Sedol, learning algorithm by AlphaGo, was beaten as well. So it's getting faster than you might think. IBM Watson is in the board of hospitals in oncology. It's better than some doctors to find breast cancer, and the music you just heard, that's suddenly stopped, is composed by a French artificial intelligence program. It has nothing to do with Austrian 19th century music. So at different small areas, IT is now getting to the level of humans and might surpass us. Although there are big problems. The next one has sound as well. There are some big problems as well that we need to face. Let's see.
Bobby, can you talk to play wheels?
You want to hear a station for porn detected. Porno ringtone, hot chick, amateur girl, quality sexy.
No.
Pussy anal dildo ringtone.
Alexa, stop!
To put things in perspective, we're not there yet. But in the meantime, we are using AI more and more on our behalf. Letting it do all kinds of things like, for example, Google Duplex is getting big, making restaurant reservations, maybe buying on the stock market. AI is going to help us in all areas of our life, and it's it's got its problems. As we see, this is a while ago, 2013, you might remember this. The Associated Press Twitter account was hacked, and there was a tweet breaking 2 explosions in the White House and Barack Obama is injured. And as you know, the stock trade is nothing human anymore. It's all AI trading, and boom. And this is the point where the tweet came out, and this is the point where humans found out that it was hacked, it was wrong. So AIs go really, really fast. And by the time we stop them, it might be too late. Of course, we're going to weaponize AIs as well, and if you have a swarm of these things, I think that one might be the end of the world, but that's movie stuff. Let's not go there. Let's go to the other AI wars, the AI wars that you will have problems with. Because we are using artificial intelligence more and more in our defense. Let's see how far I am. We're using it in our defense, and I think that's a good thing because it's pattern recognition, and if anything's out of the ordinary, it finds it before we do. But criminals are going to use artificial intelligence to attack. So what we will soon have is their artificial intelligence is fighting our artificial intelligence, and there's a whole war going on, and we're just watching it and trying to make sense of what happened afterwards. That's going to be your life in 5 or 10 years. AI wars. And there's a proof of concept. You might have seen this, DeepLocker, IBM. It's a very interesting thing. So what it uses is it uses WannaCry. So nothing exciting as a payload. But what it does, it infects computers, stays dormant, and it looks for a specific video conferencing software. And if that conferencing software is used, it uses AI for automatic facial recognition for the target, and it only attacks the target. So we're using AI for facial recognition for very precise attacks, which is good for the rest of the world in a sense, but it makes it a lot harder to find this kind of malware. And that's basically where we're going. Now, I see 7 minutes left. Oh, the 15 hasn't even shown up yet. I'm good. Well, I'm going to the point I want to make here. If you have those 4 together, then what I see is a world where it's getting easier and easier for small people who have maybe not even a clue about IT to attack big corporations, big countries, and have a huge impact. So it used to be you need a big army to attack and defeat somebody else. Now it could be just a random guy sitting in his basement or his attic, renting some malware, renting some AI, and just starting playing with it. I'm just remembering now that a few years ago we had an attack in the Netherlands on our biggest internet telecom provider, also the one that did the 112 calls, and this was a script kiddie. And he just found that they forgot to update their backup software, and if you get into the backup software, you get basically into the whole system. So he hacked the whole system. This is a 17-year-old script kiddie. Hacked the whole system. One press of the button, and the 112 system would be out. Half of the country would not be able to call or get online. He didn't do that, by the way, because he was a client of theirs, and he wanted to continue to go online. But this guy was not advanced and just played around. One guy can break a complete country. And this is what we're getting into, what we need to weaponize ourselves against. Okay, if you have those 4 together, let's get to the zombies. If you take those 4 trends together, I think we go to the next stage, and that is the Internet of People. The logical stage after the Internet of Things. If you look at the past, this is where we came from. This is 25 years ago. I still saw them around. It's maybe closer to 30 years ago. The old-fashioned, borrowed from the heirlooms. This is the interface between humans and computers. And now we have real-time data, bodily data, sent to the Internet continuously. So we've gone a large way from being connected to being very connected. And we're getting further. Just look at this. This is a bionic contact lens. And a bionic contact lens, if you count them, it's 16 pixels, so you won't see a lot. And there's problems with the lens going up and down, but they're working on that. But imagine Moore's law, a few more years, HD vision on your contact lens. So if you came here in the metro and you were a bit pissed by everybody who's on their phone the whole time, that's going to be a thing of the past. People will sit like this, which is a big improvement. So we're going to have IT on our bodies, but we're also going to have IT in our bodies. This is the, I have to check this, the Argus 2. It's a retinal implant. It's for people who can no longer see. Their optical nerve is intact, but the cones and the rods don't work anymore. It's an implant that makes them able to see again. Again, the number of pixels can be improved, but with IT in our body, we will be able to improve ourselves. Are there any people here who already have an implant? I knew in this room there would be at least one. Thank you. It's a bit beta. The stuff doesn't really work yet, but it is going to be cool. Never lose your keys anymore. Never lose your wallet anymore. You can go to the sauna and just pay for everything with your hand. It's going to be awesome. Cats and dogs already have them. People will move that direction as well. And if I think about the elderly, we're all getting older. And there is not enough money by the time you're 65, 75 to take care of us. But we don't have to, because we will have all these sensors in our body. We will have a heart sensor, a lung sensor, a blood pressure sensor, a flatulence sensor, you name it, and we'll have it. And if the grandchildren want to know if grandpa is still operable, they just go to his Facebook page, right? And it's all there. Or they hack him. But with all these sensors, we will be safer, because if anything happens, we'll catch it early. We will be able to catch everything early. Of course, privacy will suffer, but that's probably where we're going. We're going one step further, I think, and that is brain connection. You think, yeah, well, brain connection. I'm not sure about that. I'm going to be way early, I see. My time is brain connection. The Romans already knew that the brain is nothing more than just a bag of electrical impulses. This is an interesting story. They had this electrical fish, and they found out, and don't ask me how, that if you have a migraine and you put the fish on your head, that the migraine stops. And I would like to see the first person who tried this. But we people are very inventive. And in the Middle Ages, they did all kind of experiments with corpses, and they put electricity on them, and then the corpse would get up. And actually, Frankenstein was made 1 year before the first time the term zombie came in, which is in the 18th century. And it was all amazing. And in those days, the days of the Mechanical Turk, for example, the chess computer that beat the world champion of chess, people were thinking about the dangers of artificial intelligence. Of course, there was a small guy in it, but it's all older than we think. So the Romans knew, and we know as well. And we've been doing experiments. And the favorite animal to do experiments with, and if you don't like animal experiments, please zone out for a little while, is the cockroach. Let's see what we can do with the cockroach. Isn't that awesome? This is a nice plaything. Christmas is around the corner, and you can build this yourself. It's not very hard. In this case, they connected it to the antennae, which and there's another case where they put it actually in the brain. They connected it to the antennae, and they would just send a signal to the antenna, and he would move around. Interesting, though, is that after 4 or 5 tries, it adapted, because animals and humans are very adaptable. So after 5, 6 times, it wouldn't work anymore. Unless you take it out, of course, then it goes the other direction, which is also very fun. But after animals, there are also humans having this kind of stuff. You can have a brain implant, and it works. Of course, there's scar tissue and all kind of things to take into account. But quadriplegics, that is people who are not able to use their arms or their legs, have these things in their brain, in the motor sensors, and then connected their brain through the computer with, say, their arms. And now they're able to send their arms just by thinking to move their arms. Let's have a quick look at how that works. So especially for the guy who has the implant already, this might be your next step. And see, now he can be carded, and it's with the rest of us. So with a direct brain implant, people will be able to see, will be able to walk, will be able to do stuff. And I hope we'll get it on the outside, but probably we just need an implant in our brain. And I'm just thinking of, if you find the pleasure center, which is somewhere in your brain, you just have a thing in there, turn it on, and you'll have pleasure 24 hours a day, and all problems are solved. So this is where we're going. In a sense, we are turning ourselves into the Borg, but not with these big tubes as you see as you see in the movies. It will all be nanotubes and very small and not visible. But there's already a company who says they can insert a lens in your eyes that makes for better vision than your regular vision. So we are going to have a lot of IT or IoT in our body. And imagine that all your colleagues have a direct brain link with Google, Wikipedia. Let's not go to the porn sites. Let's do Google and Wikipedia. And you don't. And you're at your work, and the colleagues are much faster than you are. That's something. At some point, you probably think, "Oh yeah, I probably need that brain link as well." But your children, at some point, when all their friends are playing the newest games, I am sure that they will want to play the newest games as well.
Excellent. Good job. Excellent. Well done. Level complete.
Reminder, date at 9 p.m. Choose outfit.
So this is where we're going. Your room can be completely empty because everything is happening in front of your eyes, with your contact lenses, with your vision, with your implant in your teeth, with all the stuff you have to connect with the world. If you want to see this movie, it's on YouTube. Google Sight, and you see a 7-minute movie, of course, that ends with hacking a human, because that's where we're going. So the question is, with all this stuff in your body, what happens if you get hacked? And now we're going to the fact, well, what's a computer in a botnet that is hacked? What's a computer like that called? It's a zombie computer, right? So if we are putting IT in our body and have a direct brain link, and we get hacked, then finally we get to the point where where I started, zombies. The zombie apocalypse. We get hacked. And I think, yeah, that's not very likely, but it's a possibility. And in fact, we see it already happens. Last year, seen the news, 500,000 pacemakers were well, not retracted because you can't take them out, but because there was a bug in the software, and they need to patch that. So now you need to go to the hospital for Patch Tuesday as well. But this is changing the world, especially for politicians, because politicians, older men, heart problems, implants, and now instead of these guys with their guns that look at every corner, if there are other people, they now need us to check if there are any radio waves attacking their defibrillator or whatever they're wearing. So personal security changes as well. Thank you. Very visible. I'm going to round it up as well at this point in time. So Cybergeddon. I think there are several ways the world can end, but cyber, well, maybe not the world, but we as a society, cyber definitely has some possibilities. And what are we going to do about it? In tough times, we're all looking for the cavalry. And who is the cavalry? Who is going to save us of all these cyber slaughters? I've got a very short movie for you to explain it.
You bring the cavalry?
Woman, I am the cavalry.
That was very short. Do it again. Ah, why not?
You bring the cavalry?
Woman, I am the cavalry.
Bruce Willis. That's you. You are the cavalry. There are not many people who have enough understanding of all the technical issues and everything that's happening. It's you. You are between a happy world and a cybergeddon. You are going to keep the world safe. Playtime is still on, but it just got way more exciting because it's way more dangerous. So playtime is over. So here's my challenge to you on these 2 days. Go out there, meet new people, get a lot of new knowledge, think about the threats of the day, but definitely also think about the possible threats of tomorrow and how you're going to solve them. For example, what are you going to do if IT completely stops in a company? How you get the company running? Things like that have not been thought over yet, and those are the things we need to think about. So, in a few seconds, go out there and hunt some zombies. Thank you. Now we're waiting.
The Q&A. Is it on? Yeah. So, any questions for a wonderful speaker with his very entertaining talk in the morning? If you have... otherwise, other ideas.
More ideas.
He needs more input for his next talk. He finished 10 minutes early. He needs more input. Peppy, let me bring you the microphone.
Oh, I thought it was going there. But
just a quick remark regarding zombies and the zombie apocalypse. Zombies eat brains. I think most people are safe.
You are evil.
Thank you. I think you're right.
Further
question
input.
here?
Yep.
Or a remark?
Go for it.
So you said basically that due to market pressure, time pressure, and this kind of thing, IoT security is sort of neglected or sort of an afterthought. And this is most likely not going to change because the environmental things are not going to change that way. But how do you see the role of the regulator there? Just for the fun of it.
Just for the fun of it. I think that's the only possibility that we basically have to put in a regulator. It's going to be tough because you don't want these small companies to regulate those small companies into oblivion, because those are the innovators. But on the other hand, I see, for example, the EU as a regulator seems to be pretty tough, but at some points it really helps to make the companies aware that it's not just about making the money, but also about being safe. I'm thinking of Uber just in the news yesterday, I believe. Making the companies aware that there's more than just money to take into account. And technically, I think we could easily solve this whole problem if you take the developers and let them have a security training. Because it doesn't take longer to program securely than it takes to not program securely. It's just not in the mindset of the people who hire that it needs to be secure. So for regulators, for universities, for high schools, there might be something to get into that area.
Okay.
So just a plug for everyone, there's a Google group and an organization called I'm the Cavalry that I assume you're referencing those guys, and they do some really cool work. Join them. They're very collaborative, and they want input. So you can find it. There's a lot of folks, a lot of discussion out there trying to influence it from a policy perspective as well as technical talks. So just a plug for it. I know you didn't explicitly call them out, so
but I should have. Thank you. Other ideas of the world ending? Fake news, for example. I didn't put that in because, well, we get enough fake news right now.
Don't open that box of Pandora.
Exactly.
Coming.
That one is not going to be nice.
Hi, I'm leading a group back in my country. related to internet censorship and that kind of stuff, and I think that's a big problem too. What would you say to normal users, not like hackers or computer scientists, about how they can prevent themselves from those kind of things, or how will you aware them of these things?
Okay, I'm not sure I understand the question. You want to know how users can prevent?
Yeah, like those are big problems, and also I will add like internet censorship and privacy problems that will also be available to add to this speech. And how would you say a normal user, not like...
Yeah. Okay, I'll keep that short, because for normal users I have hours and hours as well to keep them safe. I think getting the internet a safe place is a complete chain where every part of the chain needs to be safe. So everybody's got their own responsibility, which means that a lot of people are going, including you, are going to make sure that the end users are safe. I mean, Microsoft, Apple, they need to take care of a safe operating system. Then there's antivirus, and then there's different areas. The company, for example, where people work, needs to have a good CISO, good things in place. So everybody needs to work to get the end user safe. And then the end users have their own responsibility as well. They cannot think like, yeah, other people are keeping me safe. So at this point, the things I stress for the end users are, and I hate to say it, passwords, because passwords are a nightmare. So basically what I tell them, number one, go away from the short, difficult password, use sentences. Number two, use a password manager. Number three, use two-factor authentication. And that is something they can understand, and if you help them with that, they're pretty happy with it, and they're easy technology. So passwords is the first thing they do. The second thing I teach them is backup. Even more important than antivirus, if you're caught, you need to have a backup. So that's something they can do as well. So basically, and the third, of course, is the antivirus. So what I teach the end users is basically you need two things. You need to sit down one day and set up your security, and then you have to ingrain new habits, and that takes a while. New habits like turn off your computer or put on the safe screen when you go away from your computer, and one habit at a time, and that'll eventually make you safer. But that's basically the area where the end users need to think. Do I have everything in place? Do I have my regular schedule in place? And all the other things is up to us and up to the software makers and up to other parties to make sure that they are safe. And if everybody does their work, 70%, I think 99% of all attacks are really easy. We're focusing on the 1%. But most attacks are really easy. And if you can stop that 99%, you have a barrier which makes it a lot more interesting for us to focus on the 1%, because the rest is gone and the world will be safer. That's a short answer to your question. I don't know if that answers everything, but those are the areas I'd like to focus on for the end users.
You're going to be here for the rest of the conference, or at least today? I'm
going to be here this morning.
Okay, so because I have to cut it short now because we have to switch rooms. And
finally.
So if you have some more input for him, you don't want to put out publicly, try to grab him at the coffee machine, probably.
Probably.
And otherwise, please give a warm round of applause to Peter Zinn.
Thank you. Thank you.